Well, it definitely feels good to be right about things. And when I woke up yesterday morning and silver had jumped almost $1 over the weekend, I was pleasantly surprised and very much pleased. With that should go without saying because I've been stacking silver for a while now, as you guys know. Been stacking gold as well. I just recently got a little more gold in. Gold obviously significantly more expensive. I know most of us can't just go out and drop 1800, 1900, 2 grand every few weeks. I wish I could afford that. I wish I lived that life, but I ain't there yet. Maybe sometime in the future. But yes, that's a very pleasant surprise with silver. Seeing it jump that quick. And just really over a couple of days, it seemed like silver had risen and it was holding steady, as I said in one of my previous videos about how gold and silver were moving up. But yes, I was very pleasantly pleased to see that. And I think that what my predictions would be with this is that silver, especially, maybe not quite gold, but since silver had such a big move, I don't see it moving up very quick within the next few weeks or month. In fact, I think sometime here in probably a bit closer to election time, we're going to really be able to tell whether it's going to be like a pretty sizable dip or a pretty big boost. I would expect it seems to be the first thing that happens with consumer confidence in silver and gold is it's very based on what is going on with the stock market. Now, whether you think that's right or wrong, I think the stock market is largely just based off of consumer confidence. You know, the Fed promises something, the stock market jumps or it dips based over just a promise by the Fed or by government regulations. But what's going to happen, I think that silver is going to stay here, probably flirt around with the low 19s, high 18s. I don't think we're ever going to get back to the $14, $15 range. I think it's going to stay right around here. And what's going to be very telling is, you know, these government plans, whether the Fed is going to do another stimulus, they're going to print money for a stimulus. I don't think a lot of this we're seeing right now is actually based on the incoming inflation. I think a lot of it is based off the speculation going on in the stock market. Now, once it becomes obvious to people that the inflation's hitting, I think we're really going to see some leaps, especially in gold. Even though, like I say, gold is already up over 1800. Now, another thing we have to think about, because all of this is kind of related to the C-19, the Wu flu, whatever you want to call it. I know that's racist, whatever. Whatever you want to call it, this pandemic that we're still suffering from. A lot of states starting to close back down again. I know my own state, Texas, is having a lot of new rules and restrictions placed on businesses and all that. And of course, that affects industry, that affects consumer confidence, the stock market, to a certain extent. Of this going on in a bunch of different states. So normally, what that does is that's going to bode well, especially for gold. But silver is a little bit more speculative in that it is considered an industrial metal. It's not necessarily considered a monetary metal anymore. So that's something to take into account here. So what's going to happen going forward? I think the election is also going to play a lot in this. But we have to look at this through the lens of the 2008, whether you call it crash or we'll just call it the 2008 crash. How about that? Some people call it, it was a situation. It wasn't a crash. A crash means you can never get back, which I think is silly. But the 2008 crash is what I want to call it because that's what it is. That's what it was. The 2008 crash happened. Now, we all know, all of us who stack know what happened with gold and silver. But it is worth noting that the crash happened in 2008, early 2009. But it took until later in 2011 to see the prices of gold and silver actually start hitting their peak. I believe gold got up to almost two grand an ounce. It was in the 1900s. And silver got up to the high 40s, I think 49, in about 49 an ounce in, I believe, September of 2011. So it took a couple of years for them to reach those peaks. Now, this is not the exact same situation now as it was then, obviously. Then again, so also should be stated that the Fed has already printed more money for this situation in the first couple of months than they did through the entire 2008 crash. Stimulus packages being promised, that's going to play a huge role in this. And like I said earlier, the election is going to play a pretty big role in this. Now, I am not a fan of Donald Trump or Joe Biden. And I gave Trump a chance. I don't think Trump has done a very good job. In fact, his spending is absolutely outrageous and infuriating. But what is going to happen in a Biden administration? And right now, Biden is set to win. And not only is Biden set to win, there's a really good chance that the Democrats can take the Senate. So what is that going to mean for gold and silver? What is it going to mean for the stock market if the Democrats have the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the presidency? Well, we could probably look no further than what Joe Biden has already proposed for his tax plans, the, what would you say, the pretty harsh repercussions that are going to be played out on investors in the stock market, what that means for investors, what that means for industry, what that means for business. I do not see the stock market blossoming and doing any sort of a boom in consumer confidence should Joe Biden win in November. And again, I don't care what you think about Joe Biden. I don't care what you think about Donald Trump. But one of these two is going to be the president. And we've already seen just this year what Trump supports and what Trump is going to do. And we've seen what that's done to the stock market, and we've seen what that's done to consumer confidence. Now we can see what Joe Biden is planning on doing and imagine what that's going to do to consumer confidence in the stock market. I don't think that's going to bode well. I do think for those of us who stack gold and silver, that can be a benefit for us, at least in the short term. And now is the country going to be better off in that? I don't think so. I have my strong doubts that the country is going to be better off if we go that route. But then again, I don't think the country's great off right now. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that. But my predictions will be that Joe Biden wins the presidency. Unless some miracle happens between now and November, Joe Biden will win the presidency. And all of these problems with the stock market, all of these problems with printing, I don't see Joe Biden coming in and cutting spending. I see Joe Biden coming in, probably increasing spending, and on top of that, increasing taxes and regulations. It's what I think is most likely to happen. And that's not going to bode well for the value of the dollar. The value of the dollar, I think, is just, it's circling the drain. That's why I think getting into gold and silver are really good ideas. And also why I wanted to say a little bit of a thank you to a channel called Yankee Stacking. I was listening to it while I was at work. You know, most of the gold and silver videos that I come across, I actually listen to. I don't really watch them as much because I'm usually working. And while I'm working and I'm listening to these, Yankee Stacking was doing a live stream, and him and the guy he was doing the stream with had mentioned this site called JCS Gold, and had mentioned the free shipping. Now, by the way, I'm not sponsored by this website or this company. I've only dealt with them this one time. Take that for what it's worth. But they did mention that this site was offering free shipping. So I thought I would check that out. And the shipping code for free shipping was OSHIP. And I tried it just to see if it would work, and it did. I got free shipping. And I also saw that they had some pretty good deals on Constitutional Silver. Now, I haven't spent a whole lot of time reviewing the entire website, but I did see that I bought $1 face value. I bought actually $6 face value with a little bit of money I had on hand. 90% silver, $6 face value for $15.51 per dollar face value. So, dropped about $100 on that. Again, free shipping. They do charge you a $2 and I think 80-cent processing fee. But for free shipping for that kind of face value for dollars right now is really not a bad idea. Now the price is up to $15.86 for face value 90% silver. Now, those of you who watch this channel know I love Constitutional Silver. I've been stacking Constitutional Silver since I started. It's probably my favorite to stack, especially because 1 ounce rounds around my area, and even from what I see online, are getting pretty steep. Around my area, they're getting harder to find, so all the dealers are trying to charge like $23 to $25 for a 1 ounce round. I'm not paying that. I'll buy a Constitutional Silver all day long for $15, $16 face value. For $1 face, excuse me. So, I mean, that's what I've been stacking. That's what I like to stack. I have plenty of 1 ounce rounds. I got 5 ounce rounds. I got 10 ounce bar, you know. I got plenty of other stuff, but I love Constitutional Silver. I love the diversity of it. I love that you can get all the different sizes that you want, and that you can get a deal like that, like 1586 for a dollar face value. In my opinion, you're coming out on top when you're doing that, especially considering what everybody else is starting to charge. And again, trying to get in before the prices go up even higher. So if you bought silver on Friday online, you got a much better deal than you're going to get today. It's just, that's what happens when silver jumps a dollar. See, all of us who stack are kind of torn between this because I've got a nice stack of silver and gold. So part of me wants to see the price hit the moon. But then the other part of me says, man, I want more silver and gold. So I want the price to actually drop. What would be ideal, I guess, is if the price dropped dirt cheap for the next 20 years. And then, whenever I'm ready to retire, it shoots the moon. Like, that would be ideal, right? But you got to kind of balance it out. This is also why they say don't buy all your gold and silver at one time, especially if you're just getting started. But if you are getting started, I would recommend getting yourself some constitutional silver. That's a pretty good deal. That actually at 1551 was actually cheaper than my local coin store, considering that JCS was offering free shipping. It actually turned out to be cheaper because I had gotten some really good deals at my local coin store. Then I think they started noticing all of their stuff coming up sold, and they started realizing, oh wow, I think we're going to have to up the price on this. Like the last time I went in there, they were trying to sell peace dollars and Morgans for like 23 a pop. I'm not doing that. It's just not happening. But I think they were offering, well, this was last week, they were offering about $16 face. Now it's got to be even higher than that, considering silver jumped $1 over the weekend. So 1586 with free shipping on JCS Gold, dudes, I think that's the way to go. I think constitutional silver is the way to go. You can break it down however much you want. You don't have to find yourself buying 20 ounces at a time or anything like that. I think constitutional silver helps you go at your own pace a little bit more. But yeah, I'm very, very, very happy to see silver going up. Again, I don't want to be one of those guys that's constantly saying, fuck you, I was right. But yeah, I was right. I'm glad that I've put my money into silver, or a lot of my money into silver and gold. Now, obviously, remember, do not leverage yourself, okay? I would hate to hear that anybody watching this channel took some of my advice and they couldn't pay their mortgage or their rent, or their kid went hungry or something like that because they just put all their money into gold and silver. You got to take care of the family first. And part of this, to me, long term, is taking care of the family. I would love to be able to hand my kid a silver round that I bought for $19 and it'll be worth $200. I would love, that's ideal, what we all want whenever we're older, to be able to pass that wealth down to our kids and to see it maintain its purchasing power. That's obviously what we all want. But don't get carried away. Don't leverage yourself. I've always been like this ever since I first moved out of my parents' house back in the day. I always keep about $1,000 in cash on hand. I always do that. I do everything else. I stack gold, stack silver. In fact, I just got more gold in yesterday. Got another 1/20th ounce gold maple. I got some grams in. Doing pretty good on gold too. Now, obviously, I wish I could just go in and drop $2,000 on a full ounce of gold every couple of weeks. But I'm like most of you, where we can't afford that. So silver is obviously the better buy in that sense. But keep stacking, dudes. Keep hanging in there. Don't get too carried away. And it's hard because we want to get it while it's kind of cheap. I, again, think that silver is going to take, it's going to stay in the low 19s, high 18s. My prediction would be for the next few weeks, at least a month or so. And then we'll see what happens there. I'm kind of waiting for the dip before I buy a little bit more. But it hurts because you don't want to miss out. Because what if silver never stays at 1946 again? What if we look back on this in 3 years and are like, oh my God, I should have bought so much silver when it was under $20 spot. But that's the game we play, guys. Now hang in there.